Right, good morning, everybody, and guests, and welcome to this Munch and Learn session on the subject of authenticity in photography in marketing. That's a little bit of a mouthful at this time of the morning, and I'm very pleased to welcome Adam Hollier to talk to us about what he does as part of Adam Hollier Photography. Morning, Adam. How are you feeling
Good
about
morning.
this? Ready to go?
Good. Yeah, I'm always ready at 8 o'clock.
Good stuff.
Always bright and fresh.
And we've got Karen, who's assisting us as well, who will host this. So if anybody of the visitors has any questions they'd like to do, Karen will try and administer those questions. Please put them in the question box, and we will address those to Adam during the course of the meeting. So, Adam, what I think I'd usually like to start with is a little bit of get to know a little bit about you before we get stuck into photography specifically. So could you just a little bit about yourself, where you're from, background, family, etc.?
Yeah, so I'm in North Church, which is just by Berkhamsted.
Yep.
And we have been here. Well, we've been sort of before we were here, we were in Tring. So my business sort of started in Tring, the wonderful Tring. And we've been here sort of 15 years, 16 years, something like that. And just, at the base of the Chiltern Hills, and it's just so beautiful, such a great place to live. And obviously with work, it's great being half an hour into London. Um, so yeah, it's just a wonderful place to be.
And where is do you conduct most of your work sort of fairly close to that area? You mentioned London. Do you go into London? Do you travel
Yeah,
far?
I do. Yeah, I mean, so it all started in Tring, and it was a very kind of slow, sort of organic build up to the business, working with a lot of local companies and Tring Martial Arts and Tring Rugby and Action Coaching Tring,
Yeah.
and then it sort of spreads and spreads and spreads. But yeah, I mean, 90% of the work would be sort of local-ish, sort of
Yeah.
decorum-ish. But then I've got clients, and I travel all over the country
Good.
photographing for them. So yeah, it can be
So
everywhere and
you will
anywhere.
travel
Yeah,
if you need
yeah,
to.
yeah,
Okay. Well,
exactly.
let's
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about your journey to become a photographer, because I think you told me before that you had a love of photography when you were very young, but didn't quite take it up full time professionally until a little bit later in your career. Is that right?
that's yeah, absolutely right. So when I went to school, I got very involved with the camera club, and but I think it was more because we had trips away, so it was kind of more of more of a skies than anything. But I got very involved and really enjoyed it. But then after a while, career progressed, and I didn't really bother with it. I always had a camera, but never really took pictures particularly, and didn't really know what I was doing. Um, and it wasn't really until so my background is journalism. I went up a journalism route,
Right.
but not as a photographer, but as a kind of reporter, and then news editor, deputy editor, and then editor. But it was when I left journalism that I kind of rekindled my passion for photography. And when I left, I went to work for a cancer charity called Maggie's, and they're
Yeah.
an amazing charity, and they have purpose-built um, drop-in centres for people with cancer. And on the day one, they said, "Oh, we see on your CV that you're quite handy with a camera." And I was thinking, "Oh dear, this is going to come and bite me on the bum." And they said, "Oh, good, because the Duchess of Cornwall is opening up our centre in Cheltenham. Would you be okay to do the photos?" I was like, well, yes, of course. So Duchess of Cornwall, obviously now our Queen. So I photographed her. So that was my first official, unofficial gig with the camera. So that was really good, and they have loads of kind of VIP supporters and stuff. So there was lots of opportunity for me
Yeah.
to kind of
No,
hone my
I
skills and all of that. So it was brilliant.
and very
So
newsworthy at the current time, sadly as well. But just what was your role at Maggie's, if it wasn't primarily, if you're a part-time photographer, what was your main role there?
So I was a press officer. So I
Right.
kind of
Okay.
sat on the other side of the fence. So
Yeah.
so it was perfect, with my skill set to, badger and encourage journalists to write lovely things about us, which was never a problem. And the photography was really just just a bit of a sideline to that, really. It was just because I happened to be there with the camera.
Okay.
So I was there for 4 years, and eventually my wife just said, "Would you just go and do it? Just set up this photography business and just do it." And so I really have her to thank for just giving me that push over the cliff.
Okay. And so how long ago was that? How long is your
So
business been
that was so I've been it's just it was 10 years in September, just
going?
gone.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, feels so 10 years is good. 10 years feels nice.
And
Feels
yeah,
settled.
no, it's it gives you the experience
Yeah.
to do that. So, and just you mentioned your wife. Obviously, she was important in you setting up the business in the first place. So, tell us a little bit about the Hollier family now. How does that work?
The Hollier family is it's a whirlwind of chaos and fun. Anyone who's got young children will know. I've got a little boy, Charlie, who's 9. He's off to school shortly, so he may well just run in on the screen and go
Yeah.
bye, and then run out again. So all the usual shenanigans. My wife works for a deaf charity. She helps deaf children in families,
Right.
and she's just come back from a D&V weekend, so she's tired
Right.
and unslept. But yeah, so it's just the three of us, and
Okay. And does photography take you away for so many sort of away days, away trips? I mean, I can imagine you travel a bit during the day, but do you?
yeah, so I had a couple of days over at Manchester City Stadium.
All right.
I'm not much of a football fan, but I'm always marveling at the wealth that goes in, the amount of money that goes into football. So
Yeah.
it was a cyber security conference, which I was photographing. So sadly, I can't show any photos of that.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I had 2 days up in Manchester, and that happens a couple of times a year. I'll
Okay.
be away overnight somewhere. Um, but it's great, and there's so much variety in what I do, and that's all the fun.
Uh, yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Karen. We've got a bit of background noise there. Right, Adam. Thank you for that sort of background. A really interesting story. As a couple of people have commented on what a good story that is. But let's get stuck into the meat of the day. Or
Ooh,
the session, which is to talk a little bit about photography, particularly how authentic photography can add to the value of people's marketing. We've got a variety of sizes of businesses on here, and we'll listen to this in the wider community. And I think what good photography can apply to anybody from a solopreneur up to obviously the large corporates. So I think you've got a few things to show us, and I think, am I correct? You're going to start off with the basis of the professional headshot. Is that a good, I think
yeah,
that's a good place to
and
start? Tell us about that.
exactly. So when I started in my photography thing, I sort of did everything. I did weddings, I did birthday parties, I did kids, and after a while, I kind of honed it down into things that I was more interested in.
Mhm.
But despite that, I think the thing that strikes me is that people buy people, and that makes no difference what industry you're in, whether you're a one-man band or whether you're multinational. It's still you connecting to another human being, and I think if that other human being doesn't have a face on a website, or perhaps the picture on LinkedIn is, in a beach bar and they've cut someone else off, it's just a really bad image. It just
Yeah,
looks really bad. And it's a very basic thing, but people buy people. So I would say that, you absolutely need a good headshot. As the bare minimum for whatever your business is, a good headshot is your bare minimum. So I'll just flick you through some, because not all headshots are the same. Uh, Let me see if I can share this with you.
okay. I can see that.
Are we
Yeah,
seeing all right?
yeah,
So yeah, this is a classic, white background headshot, nice corporate sort of thing. So this chap came in for some, standard headshot, suit and tie, but then we also did some with, yeah, there we go, and it totally changed overnight.
yeah.
But we'll also do some, in a more perhaps without a tie, without a jacket. So we've got a variety of images that he can use on LinkedIn. Very sort of similar thing, white background. And then, of course, there's slightly more lifestyle-y shots.
Yeah.
This guy runs a construction business, and he just wanted something a bit more formal. He's got these lovely offices that he uses, so he wanted that to be part of it. So, it's a classic sat at the desk thing. So this is another slightly different one. So a solicitors in Cheshire and Amersham called Lennon's. Their branding is all about their people being, being real people.
Yeah.
And so I photographed all their staff doing their hobbies.
Okay.
So there's this chap who's he loves cooking, so we took him to a nice kitchen. There was another one of the partners who's keen into skiing, so we went down to Hemel Snow Centre. So it was all about just bringing the real life back into these people. This guy's a famous composer and pianist, a chap called John Cameron. So, not what I'm saying is not all headshots need to be on a white background, and they don't have to be looking to camera. And it's really about bringing the character out.
One question, Adam, if somebody comes to you and say, I'm looking sort of very much for something for my, I don't know, LinkedIn profile, but something else might be for the website, do you set them up differently for that? Do you discuss what people are looking to achieve? I mean, you might have a view as a photographer how they look best, but that has to be in line with how they want to project their business. So there's a bit of background research before you.
Exactly. So I mean, all my photography is collaborative. So it always starts with that conversation of, what do you want? What do you think you want? Who are the photos for? So, what sort of clients are you trying to attract with your photos? If you work in a business where you deal with other businesses who are very sharply dressed, then you don't want a picture of you in your hoodie. You need to play up to whatever your client wants. So, this guy here, he's a trainer, so it's perfectly fine that he can be in a more relaxed outfit. This guy's top corporate, needs to be suit and tie. So it always starts with that conversation about, what is it that you want? But it's about bringing out the character as well.
Do you ever advise people to sort of push it perhaps a little bit more if people are sort of think they've got to be a bit too corporate, or the other way around? If you think people are going a little bit too wacky, do you have to pull people back in?
No, well, I mean, the beauty with digital photography is you can just do so much. So in a standard sort of LinkedIn headshot that I'll do is I'll say, look, bring the whole dressing up box, and we'll do for the example, the shirt and tie, and then we'll take the tie off, and then we'll take the jacket off, and if you want a casual jumper, so we'll do a whole range of stuff. And then they can all go on a proofing gallery, and then people can choose what they want for wear. So we can
just think of a few coaches who the dressing up box might be quite extensive, but we won't go into
exactly.
Okay. No, I think these are great. And so if anyone's watching here and hasn't had sort of a professional sort of headshot done, but is considering it, what would be the first thing? Contact you? Would they need to? Is it best for the first ones to sort of come to you, or do you go to them? What's the best?
Both really. It depends where they are. I mean, I've got a pop-up studio that I can bring, which I quite often set up in an office, and we'll do 30, 40, 50 headshots in a day if I'm doing some big corporates. Alternatively, people can come to me. We'll do a little shoot here. I think I prefer going somewhere else. Invariably, because that's where they have their clothes, and they can get changed, and it's a bit more relaxed for them. But I'll just show you this. I mean, not all headshots need to be, bright and sparkly. This guy's a top AI expert and digital marketing guru, and we did the white background stuff. And I said, let's just try something a bit darker, a bit more creative. So that's what we came.
Oh, good.
This is now, this guy wanted some LinkedIn pictures, but he's a kind of an outdoor kind of guy. So it made sense to do this over in Ashridge. And then of course we could do portraits, in in the workplace environment.
Yeah.
This is an engineering company in Markyate. We did all his staff photos kind of around their machines or working where they are. This was from a magazine, but once again,
Yeah.
so they can take all
Oh, I know that man.
shapes and
Yeah.
sizes. Yeah, you probably know him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's
So
good.
these are, let me show you these. These are becoming more and more popular. For kind of YouTube. So he might have he might have a big sign here saying, read this or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So this is quite popular at the moment. And there's people pointing and doing all sorts of expressions. And then what we'll do is we'll cut these out and then they'll put them on a coloured background with text around it.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's another
Well, that's
big thing.
I think for a lot of people, it's a first start in photography for smaller businesses, is getting their own headshots done properly, whether that's just for LinkedIn or whether it's a situational photography. So, okay, we've got a number of other topics I'd like to run through. Was it website next, or what?
We can, yeah, let's have me show you a couple of little websites. So what I would say is absolutely get yourself a good headshot. Spend money on your headshot as the bare minimum. And then my view is that your website is absolutely your window to the world. So do not put anything on your website that's, done on your mobile phone or a bit that looks a bit amateurish. Save that for your social media. That's got a lovely life on there.
Yeah.
But your website absolutely has to be super shiny, sparkly. So don't skimp on that. So I'd say if you do need images for your website, get a professional photographer to do that for you, and it will pay dividends. As it happens, I was just looking through some photos earlier, and I worked with a company in Aylesbury in 2016. They're a box company, and they are still using my photos on their website today.
Right.
So, that's brilliant ROI, isn't it?
Yes.
I was a lot cheaper
8 years
then.
or whatever. Yeah. Very good.
So let me show you a couple of examples of what I mean by some images for the website. So I've got a real beef about stock images and
Yeah.
about images that you can buy from online because they are so generic. People know they're generic, and then people don't trust you
Yeah.
because it's so unauthentic. So I would say, let me talk about. So this is Lennon Solicitors. We just wanted to create a handful of their own stock images that they can use on blogs and social
Yeah.
media and stuff. So these are just bits and bobs around their office. So I was there doing some headshots, and I said, okay, well I'll just whip around the office and we'll do some stock images as well. And it just adds authenticity to it. I mean, they could do any old pictures of people in a room looking smiley,
Yeah.
but but they didn't choose to. Anyway, so some engineering photography here. These are just images that this company uses for their website. There's a landscape gardening company, construction, some engineering stuff. So really don't skimp on.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the box company I told you about. So
Yeah.
don't skimp on any images that are going to represent your brand because that's just so damaging.
Yeah.
So that would be my top tip.
No, and presumably you would typically go out to obviously to the site to visit the office or the premises for whatever type of business it was, and take some action shots as appropriate. Okay.
Yeah, so invariably what may happen is they may say, so I've got a case coming up next week where they, invited me and we want white background headshots for all our staff for LinkedIn. So I'll go and set up in the office, go and do that. And then I'll maybe spend an hour or two around the factory or the office, just to get to get some kind of more relaxed lifestyle feel photos.
Do you ever go to say a company's customer or client sites to take some photos? Because for some, the action is in, I don't know, a customer's home or wherever they're working. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, quite regularly. I work a lot with Hightown Housing, and we will often go into their clients' homes and do photos and video about their experience with Hightown.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with construction companies on site. I've worked with, here's a good story. So years and years ago, I was talking to a young guy who'd started up, who was a plumber, and I explained the whole pricing process. And he said, okay, so what I need to do then is work you really hard for the 2 hours I can afford you. And I went, yeah, absolutely right. Totally flog it. He said, okay. So I turned up to his house and he wanted pictures of himself and pictures of him doing what he does, working under sinks
Yeah.
and what have you. So I turned up at his house and said, come out. So in his garage, he had produced this sink that it pulled out from the wall, and he had engineered all these like shots as to what we can do with him working around these various units and a boiler in his house. So, I mean, hats off to him. He totally nailed it. He knew
Yeah.
what he needed photo wise. And yeah, he got his money's worth.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
it.
great.
So you can think about it, if somebody's hiring you, you're going to their premises, and the key thing is probably not just the headshots; it's to try and get the most out of your time that's there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good advice. Okay, in terms of other things like perhaps events or product launches, could you tell us a little about?
Yeah, let me show you. So events. I mean, I work with businesses and corporates.
Yeah.
So in terms of events, it will mean things like conferences, product launches, press launches, staff away days, which are quite popular. And the other thing with that is these staff away days quite often are an opportunity for staff headshots, as
Yeah.
well as photos of staff doing their things and stuff. So that's quite a good way of tying all that in. So yeah, let me show you some examples of that. Now I've almost got to grips with sharing the screen. Here we go. So this is a book launch.
Right.
Very talented writer here. This is an expo, like a trade conference. Classic kind of ribbon cutting shots. I've worked with A Place in the Sun. I guess you guys might know a little bit about that. So I've worked with them for sort of 3 or 4 years, and that's always good fun. This is Electric Umbrella Charity. It's one of their events, one of their concerts. This was what was this? It was like a product launch in Champneys, in St Albans. This is a trade launch of a new car. This was quite an exciting experience. Side rewards, so traditional award shows, award presentations, all these sort of, there's that guy again,
Paul Ryan,
yeah. So these were for his website. He wanted, this was taken at the Hospice of St Francis in Berkhamsted, and he wanted pictures of him in action, which kind of shows what he does as a trainer and a presenter. So these were sort of in the moment shots.
I think it might be worth just commenting there that it's interesting that Paul Ryan, who is a professional actor and probably has a lot of professional clips and things from his acting career, is still choosing to use a professional business photographer to promote the other side of his life, which is as an excellent trainer and in life. So that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think most of us, when we get our headshots done, we'll do them maybe every 5 years, maybe push it a bit longer. But of course, Paul being an actor and he's very image is his thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for him to keep his headshots updated. And he's always growing his hair longer, or he's growing a beard, or so there's always an opportunity to to photograph different looks. I was just going to talk here a little bit about coming on to. So I've got a bit of a background in sports photography.
That's great.
So when I started, I was doing a lot of kind of photographing a lot of marathons and triathlons, and because of that, it means that I do a lot of now corporate golf days, corporate football days, and that sort of thing. And that's a really big thing. And I'll probably get 4 or 5 of these throughout the summer. So yeah, corporate football days and that sort of thing. Corporate bike rides seem to be quite a thing. This was actually a press launch for Hoka, which is a running shoe. They contacted me. They're based in London, but they were doing a run around Ashridge, and so I spent a couple of days with them doing their thing. So yeah, so
Okay.
that kind of corporate away day sports thing, which is
No, I think I
good.
can see the authenticity comes through in that in all those shots, but particularly the action shots in particular. They're very they add something a sense of reality
Yeah.
to
I
it.
don't know about any corporate boxing matches. I haven't come across
I,
that yet.
I thought that was a company personnel review day.
Yeah, it's an
You
appraisal
didn't hit your
moment.
KPIs. um, Okay, well, look, just mindful of time, there is one thing I
Yeah,
must that you mentioned to me recently, and this is the idea of pretend podcasts on video.
10
You
podcasts.
must tell
Yes.
people a little about that because that was new concept to me when you
So
told me about it last week.
this is something that I heard from Simon Elson, one
Yeah,
of your action coaches, and so basically what it is like a pretend podcast. So what we'll do, we'll film it with a kind of microphone as if you're being filmed for a podcast. But the beauty of it is you're having a conversation with a human. Sometimes that's me. And then the camera, so you're not looking into the camera. So you're having a discussion about what you do and your business, etc., etc. But you're not talking to the camera. So the whole thing becomes far more relaxed. And therefore you get far better content from it instead of you sitting, okay, hello, my name is Adam and I'm a photographer. And, you just
yeah,
lose all that horrible scriptness and we do these pretend podcasts. And the beauty with that is you can chop them up, stick them up on social media, and you've got. I mean, I did a day with someone recently, and we've got so much content. It is unreal,
okay,
uh, and because it flows so well, it's a great. But of course, the video is the other thing that 10 years ago when I started, I wasn't doing any video,
yeah.
and now probably a quarter of my work is video related.
Okay. Adam, I'm just mindful of time. We've got a couple of people who've got to leave at
Okay,
8:30, and I'm just going to run through a couple of the questions that come in. We've got Richard
okay,
Dunn, who I know well, and I can make sure you're in contact with Richard. He's at Stephen Eagle Toyota. He's probably prompted by those Kia shots.
probably.
And I'll make sure you're in contact with him. He'd like to talk to you. He's got to jump off very shortly, so we'll take care of that, Richard. And Vanessa from Crafty Team Building do you do product shots? So can you just tell us in sort of the product marketing or product launches?
I do. I do. Product shots are just such a big deal now, and yes, I do. I don't think I've got any set up on a slideshow, but yeah, if you drop me a line, I can send you some
Okay, well
examples. And,
we'll make
there's
sure
some
you're
on
in
my
contact.
website as well.
Yeah. Karen, could you if you deal with Vanessa, I'll deal with Richard because I know Richard.
Okay,
So
perfect.
Richard, I've got a couple more coming in. Okay. Somebody likes the podcast idea, and Lisa Collins would like to understand pricing approach.
Yeah. So photographers price all sorts of weird and wonderful ways, none of which I've quite understood. So I keep it simple and I price per time, and my time includes editing. So I do it in sort of 1 hour, 2 hour, for half a day to a day.
Yeah.
That's how I do it because then it's easy, isn't it? Someone employs me for 1 hour to do 10 headshots. They know what the price is going to be.
Okay.
That's
And
how I do
can you
mine.
give us a ballpark for what if somebody was high for a couple of? I'm not
Yeah.
looking for.
So all the prices are on my website. I'm very open and
Yeah.
transparent about that. So an hour for me is 225, 2 hours
Okay.
is 325, half a day is 525, and a full day is 795.
Okay. So I tell you
A
what.
bargain. I think that's what you're supposed to be saying.
Yes,
That's a
absolutely.
bargain.
Absolute bargain. Sorry, I was just looking to try and make sure we get in your website because I know there is a lot of information on there. So, and just in case I get it wrong, could you confirm what your
Yeah. So the
website
website is adamhollier.co.uk.
Okay, adamhollier.co.uk. Okay, well, look, I don't know whether there's any. Thanks for sharing your story, Adam, and why headshots are important, and also bringing out personality. So, look, we've had some great comments in there for the session. It seems that you've got a couple of 2 or 3 people who might be interested in that further conversation. So,
Fantastic.
hope that's been worthwhile for you, Adam, and thank you to everybody who's joined in asking the questions. Karen, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'm sharing Adam's website.
Okay, yeah, the website details.
Also, I will share this information in the recording.
Okay, yes, so the recording will be available later today. I will deal specifically with Richard, who I think's had to drop off now. If you could make sure Vanessa has what she needs to, Karen, then I think we're all good. So I'd just like to take the time to say thank you, Adam. I think that's been a really
pleasure. That's been
run
great.
through the range of what photography can do, and hopefully the community's got to know you and a couple of connections there that hopefully will lead to some business opportunities as well in due course.
Thank you very much for having me.
On here, just remind that if you can, feel free to share the video and the recording when Karen circulates the link later today.